Hey there, welcome to the Adulting Advice Podcast, where we share advice and step-by-step guides on all things life after 20. I am Hannah.
And I am Danny, and we're multi-passionate, career-driven 20-somethings who come from very different backgrounds, but have similar goals and struggles. And we're here to chat about it.
Join us. Hey there, welcome back to another episode of the Adulting Advice Podcast. I hope everyone is off to an amazing day. I wanted to create this episode since we are nearly into our third month of the year, and lately I've been super pumped about all that is going on in my life. If you know me at all, you know that I'm a big goal setter, and it was actually at breakfast with some girlfriends this week that I was able to check in with them, and we were able to share more about what we want to happen in our lives. It was there that I realized a few of us experience a common theme when it comes to our goals, and I realized it's quite possible that you may too. It's possible that you, listening to this podcast, have big goals and dreams that require maybe a lot of risk or courage or vulnerability. These goals may require you to show up in your life in a way that you haven't done before. And first off, if this is you, if your goal fits that criteria, congratulations, because it takes a lot to dream up of these kinds of things. It takes creativity, vision, and imagination to dream up something that requires you to literally be someone that you have not been before in order to get them done. Now, what makes me super pumped about these kinds of goals is because they're the ones that make you borderline overwhelmed, but super excited at the same time. And again, if your goals have you experiencing this amazing job, you're on an amazing path because regardless of the outcome, you're going to learn so much along the way. Alrighty, so now back to my group of friends. So, we've read books, we've listened to podcasts and speeches about how we are super capable of doing just about anything we set our mind to. We can even have other people tell us to our faces that we are capable of accomplishing these goals and dreams, and yet we still end up stuck from time to time. Now, this feeling of stuck can manifest from a million different things. But today I wanted to chat specifically about self-doubt being a big thing that is in our way. So for me, self-doubt shows up as this little voice in my head that tries very hard to keep me well within my comfort zone. And as I'm sure you've heard before, if you're in your comfort zone, you're not growing. So I feel like it ultimately holds me back in life. It's the little voice in my head that tells me to not raise my hand in the business meeting because there's a chance my idea isn't good enough or well thought out and it'll make me look dumb. It's the little voice in my head that tells me that starting my own business is a bad idea because it's possible that I won't be able to live up to fulfilling on the commitments I make to both my future clients, employees, and partners. It's the little voice in my head that tells me sharing my thoughts and stories on this very podcast is definitely not a good idea because then people will see the real me. Some of you might already be thinking about the different things that little voice might be telling you. What it might be telling you about your worth, your capabilities, or your character. Some of you may be thinking, what little voice? I definitely don't have one of those. But here's a quick test. You see all those thoughts and questions you came up with in those 5 seconds of silence? That is the little voice in your head. Now, this is where it gets a little wonky. Some confusion can arise now that you may be wondering what in the world that little voice actually is. Some of you may be wondering what is you, the actual you, and what is the little voice. And I totally get it. That voice, if you will, can be confusing. Sometimes we think that it's telling us that we're freaking amazing and we totally got it. But other times it tries super hard to keep us safe and to prevent us from taking action. So how can we trust something that makes us feel on top of the world some days and totally unworthy and incapable the next? Now, I want you to put that hold on thought for a quick second. Right now, I want you to think of all of the thoughts that go through your head in any given day. Specifically those that come up when you're faced with a problem or a dilemma, when you have the opportunity to raise your hand and contribute, the opportunity to save the day, to speak your mind, maybe console a friend, to invite someone to hang out with you, to talk to a stranger, or just to generally put yourself out there. There's something I decided a while back about deciphering these thoughts, and it does go back to figuring out what is you and what is the little voice. Now, I'm hoping that maybe you can use this as a litmus test too. All right, ready? Here we go. Any thought that does not require me to show up as my best self is not me. Any thought that lets me off the hook is not me. Only thoughts that require me to show up fully, to be brave, courageous, and vulnerable are mine. And lastly, I will always listen to myself. Alrighty, let's look at this in practice. So do you remember that business meeting situation where I can either raise my hand or share an idea or choose to remain quiet? Well, oftentimes the little voice in my head tells me to remain quiet. But you can see how that literally does not require me to be brave or to show up. So I'm deciding that that is not me. And I refuse to let something other than myself control how I show up in life. So whenever I'm in that situation and I realize I'm listening to self-doubt and letting that hold me back, I can consciously choose to act in another way. Alrighty, here is another example. So say you meet someone amazing that you want to spend time with, and you have the opportunity to maybe text them or even tell them face to face that you want to hang out with them. There could be a moment where you feel like you can either step forward and ask them, or you can retract and go in another direction. Well, if you know that you want to have more friends and be more social, yet that little voice or your thoughts are telling you it's better to not say anything, you can know that is self-doubt stopping you. And then in that moment, you can choose to act in a different way. Guys, we are faced with these situations all of the time. You can be fearful to tell your boss something, or tell your spouse something, or to maybe start a passion project, or go experience something new. It's in these moments that I encourage you to pause when you start having these thoughts in your head and consciously decide if it's your best self calling you to action, or if it's fear and self-doubt holding you back. And when you realize what the best course of action is for you, I encourage you to muster up all that you have to go and do it. Again, I have been so pumped this year. Literally pumped is the only word that comes to mind when I think about my social life and my work life and my marriage. And guys, I want 2019 to be the best year of your life too. But it starts with you deciding to be brave and doing the things that you know you want to do. So please don't let fear or confidence or doubt hold you back from living the life you want, because life is way too short. I want you to take life in your own hands and go do all of the amazing things that you are meant to do. So I'd love to know how putting this in practice works for you. In the comments, let me know what are some common things that you have, like some thoughts that go through your mind, and see if they're calling you to rise or if they are fueled by self-doubt. Let me know how you plan to take action next time you're in this kind of situation, or if you want some help figuring out how to take action. Again, let me know in the comments. For me, what I've been doing lately is letting people know, for example, I let my husband know and my friends know what I'm after in life, and then I just keep them updated on how it's going. So if I get stuck in a situation, I can talk with them through it. So again, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it and that it gave you something tangible to use in your day-to-day life. Lastly, if you don't already follow Adulting Advice on all of our social channels, now is the time. We are working on an awesome content calendar so you can keep learning more throughout the week, and I really, really, really don't want you to miss it. Check out the show notes for links to connect with us, and as always, let me know what you want to hear next. Have an amazing week. I will see you in the next one.